Thank you so much, Oliver. I really appreciate that introduction. And as Oliver mentioned, I'm James Gross. I'm the co-founder of Micromobility Industries. I'm so excited to have everyone here today. This is quite a moment for us. As Oliver mentioned, and of course, with everything we've been living through around the world, it's been very hard to get together in person. Even seeing Oliver there on video, it's almost emotional to think about, the fact that I haven't seen him in quite a long time, and of course we haven't been able to connect with our community like we'd like to. At the same time, as Oliver mentioned, the silver lining is just this incredible opportunity we have to invite people into our community that have been a part of the community for a very long time digitally, and so just to see the type of support and to see the type of people that are coming and leaving comments and where they're from, it's just really incredible. And so I'm so very proud and just humbled to be a part of the movement. So thank you for attending today. As it relates to kicking off the event and actually the first folks we're going to talk to here on stage, I couldn't be more excited. When we started Micromobility Industries, I think the focus really was on this thesis that we could unbundle the car, that short trips could be changed, that because of amazing technologies, we could actually change the way we move. And really our mission was to put the entrepreneurs that were making this all come true on a platform and just sit back and watch and ask how we could support. And so to kick this off, I think we have one of the most incredible companies out there right now changing the way we move in Super 73. And so with me today, I have two of the founders, Legrand and Aaron, who are going to take us through some of the journey of Super 73 and where they see it headed. And again, being down here in Southern California, this is just an amazing company, and I'm so excited for them to tell you a little bit of the story. So join me in welcoming Legrand and Aaron to the micromobility community.
Hey guys.
All right, guys. All right, so hey guys, let's just take it from the top. Founded in 2016, sort of an astronomical rise as far as I can tell. Let's hear the founding story and how we got to today.
Yeah, well, first of all, James, thanks for including us. This is the first time we've been a part of anything quite like this, and we're very honored to be a part of it, and we're excited for the conversation and already the rapport that we've built up together. And we love what you guys are doing, so thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so maybe we can just give a quick little background. So my name's Aaron. I'm one of the co-founders and the chief brand officer. And like you mentioned, we started in 2016, kind of as a passion project, to be honest. We come from a background of design and development, viral media and content creation, and really entrepreneurship. So I think really at the heart of it, we were creators that we just liked doing things with our hands. So as much as we would like to say that we had a crystal ball of what was going to happen, 5 years back, and we're going to ride this big wave, we just wanted to build something and a brand and a lifestyle for ourselves. And after we saw it in 3D in the physical world, we were like, we have to share this. This is pretty awesome. Everybody should experience this too. So we put it on a crowdfunding platform on Kickstarter. Originally planning to make maybe 10 to 15 units or so. So the campaign lasted 30 days, and over 600 orders came in. So that was when Legrand, who introduced himself, and Michael, who's the other co-founder that couldn't be here today. We do have a representation of his spirit here. But so when we started it, again, we wanted to create something for ourselves. And when we got it on Kickstarter, I think that was the first time that we saw that other people wanted to jump in on this as well. And I think it was a very humbling moment, and it was enough. The three of us had our own individual businesses, and we saw that we had to fold all that up and join forces, and we loved working together. And that was kind of the start of it. And pass it off to Legrand.
Yeah, so Legrand Cruz here again, fellow founder and the president and CEO of Super 73. Yeah, to Aaron's point, I mean, I've actually been in the e-bike game a little bit longer, almost 10 years now, before anybody even knew what e-bikes were. And, it's like once you get bit with that bug, it just stays with you. And so, to Aaron's point, we got together. It was just the right group. It was the right time, and it was the right product. And I think that, for me, in particular, being around e-bikes and for many years, actually, well before 2016 and more traditional form factors and looking for something new, I always had in my mind that there was going to be some kind of product, something that was going to take this mainstream, right? It was always a niche thing. It was, definitely here in the US, and even in Europe, it was, more mature and more accepted. And the very first bike that we built, it was kind of that aha moment. I go, oh my God, this is, this thing's fun. It's accessible. It's, it's cool, it's inviting, it's not intimidating, and and I thought, man, this is it. Like we have a chance. Like we have a chance here to really kind of change the game and to do something different, and not from just a product standpoint. To Aaron's point, what makes Super 73 work, and from the very beginning, is kind of this the e-bike, the tech, the marketing and the voice to the, young audience that we're after, and, the branding and all of these things kind of combine together, and it's what you see today.
Yeah, awesome. And for folks that haven't seen Super 73, if anyone can just kind of put in the comments some of the sizzle reels I think you can find on YouTube as an example, their YouTube page, to really give you a sense of the brand and the type of vehicles they make. Again, it's really a spectacle. Sorry we couldn't share a stream. We're just we wanted to be careful on how we're streaming video and the challenges that you can sometimes have with that. So yeah, definitely if someone can put that in the comments, please do. In terms of, I think once people see your product and feel your product, and I've got one, of course, stage, my stage right here behind me. Who is this product for? This looks different. This feels different. I look at you guys and I look what's behind you as it relates to the types of helmets and goggles I see. Who's the next Super 73 customer?
Yeah, for the audience that isn't familiar with Super 73, just a quick little elevator pitch, I guess. So we are a lifestyle adventure brand, and we really create products that help bridge the gap between, I guess, like moto heritage and youth culture. So when we came up with the first product, it was beyond just the product. It was a lifestyle, and it was something that we wanted to aspire to do as young 20 and 30 somethings. We wanted to get into motorcycling, and at the time, LeGrand and I and Michael didn't ride motorcycles, and the barriers to entry were very great. There's a large, expensive. You can go really fast and get hurt, so it's intimidating. But that didn't mean that we didn't want to experience it. And so really the first one that we created, again, was for ourselves to be able to just kind of touch on that in our own way. And once we got, bit by the bug, as LeGrand mentioned, like we just, didn't look back afterwards. So, when we were looking at it, we think that we're creating a product that it's really for everybody. It's a lifestyle brand that helps accentuate everybody else's personal lifestyle, and it just happens to be in a form factor of an electric motorbike that we think looks pretty cool. And so I think it's really for everybody who doesn't know that they need one yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just to add to that really quick, there's not. A lot of people ask us, they go, hey, we see these young, good looking, cool people riding your bikes and on the advertising and by the way, it's not me. I'm not on any of it. But anyhow, it's like, no, that's not who it's for. I mean, we have people that use our bikes to commute to well, maybe these days you're only commuting to home, but to go to the grocery store, to run errands, to have fun, even to put passengers on. I mean, we see people going through drive-throughs with restaurants closed and so it's kind of for everybody, and that's the whole point. Is the bike is accessible. One of the problems with I'll be careful here, I'm sure I'm going to offend some people here, but the cycling industry is not very inviting. It hasn't been historically, and I know because I was a part of it. When I was a lot younger and in much better shape. I was I did some amateur racing and I was very, very involved and loved cycling. But there was this kind of attitude about it, at least here, definitely in the U.S., that was off-putting, and I think that a large segment of the population, it's like, what do bicycles represent in particular? You're young, before you can drive, you get a bike. And that bike is your ticket to freedom, right? Your ticket to adventure. And so recreating that feeling as an adult and seeing the people's face, the reaction of people's faces when they get on the bike, it's everything. And so, getting back to your question, it's for the 16-year-old, the 25-year-old, and even the middle-aged or almost middle-aged, guy like me. So it can be almost anybody.
Awesome. And yeah, I would love to just talk a little bit about the branding and again, I think when people see your videos, what they'll see oftentimes is a different looking bike and potentially a bike that you can take into places that you might not you might not think of as urban areas, right? When I see that though, what I think of is every truck commercial I see, every car commercial I see, which is often this idea that what they're going to advertise to you is not necessarily going to be 98% of the trips, right? So, you know, you see the GMC Yukon off-road towing something huge up the hill on the NFL commercial. What you often see is a GMC Yukon on the freeway. I'm just curious how you think about this mainstream appeal of what, again, looks oftentimes a little bit more, some of the models look more like dirt bikes, and of course, some of that you advertise. But where do you see most of these trips actually happening, I guess, is what I'm curious on.
I've got a thought to start to kick that one off. I think it's a fascinating question, and it's one that I personally really love. I grew up in San Francisco, and so being like a big urban, dense environment as rich as the Bay Area really shaped a lot of my perspective. So I didn't have to go, you know, growing up, I didn't have to go very far to find adventure. I could find it in my neighborhood. I can go down the street. I could walk a couple, blocks and be in two different neighborhoods, at the same time. So I think like you can take that vehicle and that platform and really get accessible adventure within your neighborhood. And you don't need to go 10, 15 miles, out of the city center to do that necessarily. I mean, you can throw it in the back of your car, your truck, your SUV and do that. But I think it's almost like, with this huge mass migration and urbanization of the younger population moving into these denser areas, you can't bring your car. Even if you want a motorcycle, where do you park it in New York City? Even if it's electric, right? And if it's snowing outside, it's just a little bit too heavy. So, it's really just, you can find so much richness in just your own backyard, so to speak. And I think like that's one use case that I really love.
Yeah, and I think kind of just a second that, a couple years ago, I was living in a kind of like a beach community, essentially, and getting in and out of there, parking. I mean, it was all a nightmare. And I had a car, motorcycle, and of course, Super 73, well, several Super 73's, and what ended up happening is I'd get home and whether it was by car or motorcycle, that would go away, and the Super 73 was it. I mean, it was like if I needed to go to the pharmacy, if I needed to go to the grocery store, if I wanted to go see a buddy, if I wanted to go to the bar, like it was it, because I didn't have to gear up. I didn't have to think about it. It was just, you just jump on and you just go. And I think that is the beauty. It's almost the simplicity of it. It's light, it's easy, it's you just turn it on, it just works. There's not a whole lot to it. Look at cars today, and they're super complex, right? And there's so much to it. Even motorcycles. I mean, modern motorcycles are amazing, feats of engineering technology. But they're a handful, and they can be. And again, you got to suit up and gear up, and you got everybody on the road that's that feels like they're targeting you. So yeah, we've kind of there's this happy medium, that it's accessible, it's easy. And what we're seeing is, I think that anybody that's got anywhere between, we don't like to call it a last mile solution. It's not a last mile solution. It's probably a last 5 to 10 mile solution, conservatively, even though people use it for much longer distances.
And for a lot of people, it's a primary solution now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, in a lot of urban areas, it is the solution to transportation. And and even this whole situation this past year with COVID is has been interesting. And especially we don't have a platform that's a shared platform, and I'm sure you're going to be talking to others that do have that. But even the concern that people have these days about picking up any kind of infection or touching dirty surfaces or anything like that. Again, we've lucked out in that we have a vehicle that is we've decided to market it as a personal ownership type of model, and again, it works for us. And at least in my opinion, I don't want to jump ahead to any potential questions you have, but at least in my opinion, there's always going to be always a place for that personal ownership of vehicles, at least of this type.
Yeah, and sorry, James, going back to your point about the brand, I think it also serves as a platform for individual self-expression, right? So it's not just like a Super 73 in its stock form and everybody owns that and loves that. I mean, that's part of the equation. But what we're finding is our community is very passionate about, it's almost like a subculture of like modification and personalization and freedom of expression within your transport vehicle. and it's just amazing to see, because you have all these custom builds, you have different handlebars, people are swapping out their seats, doing custom upholstery, and really putting their own spin on it. And when it comes to the brand, that's what we're trying to do. Like, we are trying to create a platform for everybody else's individual brand to be expressed.
Yeah, let's go through it. Let's go into this a little bit more, because again, this is something I'm really fascinated by that we've seen from you guys. So, what Horace and I and Oliver, and we were all, when we were originally talking about what we were so excited about with everything that was potentially coming together to create new forms of mobility, whether it was, of course, the battery tech, software, hardware costs continuing to come down, and allowing, again, entrepreneurs to just create very different expressions for how you can move. What we were looking for was companies that weren't taking, say, like what I would call a gearhead approach to things, that weren't trying to, build the fastest bike or build the lightest bike, but we're really looking at like, I think what you were saying there, like a self-expression, like what's the sexiest I can be when I'm riding a bike? What's the best I can feel when I'm riding a bike? What's going to make the biggest smile on my face when I need to go from point A to point B? Like, this is what we are as humans. We're creatures of like wanting to feel good. And how, so whether it's Custom 73, which I don't even know if you guys are involved in, but I've seen just out there as like forms of clothing that are kind of catering towards the Super 73 community, or it's, I've seen Bieber on these bikes. I'm not very good in the influencer game, but I've seen, it seems like a lot of celebrities are riding your bikes, and just, are picking these things up. Like, how did, where does this go? What's the culture in the community around this? Like, where do you, do you think there'll be big companies that are built that are just fashion apparel lines to your bikes and other bikes? Like, do you think, like, and who are you kind of competing with for time and space? Like, when someone buys a Super 73, what else are they gonna buy and become a part of? Curious there.
Yeah, I'll kind of try to tackle some of these here. I think going back, to the beginning here. So, kind of what Aaron had already started to touch on, and I'll kind of just share an anecdote here. When I was 16 years old, got my first car. Actually, maybe I was 17. But I remember the build up to that and what that represented to me. Right, it represented. Kind of like, my adulthood and being able to be out here and do kind of what I want, and it was also a way for me to express who I am, and so what did I do? I went and got spray painted my wheels, and I went and tried to AutoZone and got all sorts of probably really cringy accessories, and but I made it my own, and what we're seeing is and I'm gonna date myself a little bit, but I got teenage daughters, and they're totally not interested at all in driving, in cars, in any of it. I mean, it's just the wildest thing, and I think what it is that these other vehicles, cars, everything that's kind of become a shared platform is become an appliance, essentially, right? So I think that a lot of people are starting to think of vehicles as it's like, well, I get on the subway. Do I really care what the subway looks like? Do I really care how fast it is? Do I really care about any of it? Right? With our product, it's different. People do care, and it is something that is a form of self-expression, and that's what we're seeing. And so this look at the car scene again. I kind of keep going back to that. There is this long and storied history and culture of car customization, and entire industries have sprung up to support that, right? And I do think that that's going to happen, and it's already happened actually, in this space as well, where you're going to see these other potential third parties and industries and accessories and all sorts of things we probably haven't thought about, and maybe a whole bunch of people listening to this right now have got the wheels turning and thinking about this. But I think that's going to happen. When you have you're talking about not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, you're going to be talking about millions of these vehicles out there, and and we all, it's human nature, like you said, we don't want to all just be robots and be and all be the same. And so I think that there's a tremendous opportunity, whether that be apparel, whether it be clothes, whether it be riding gear, or accessories, or even mass customization type of products in the future. So there's a lot, and I think that the sky's the limit. And I think if we look back to other forms of transportation historically, for reference, that it just makes sense that that's the natural path that this is going to follow.
Yeah, and there's a point that Oliver brought up in his awesome opening statement, and that was I think as humans, we're trying to find our people, our tribe, and here at Super 73, our main purpose, the why we do what we do, really we exist to create two things, and one of that is adventure, but the other one is community, and for us, community is incredibly important. So much to the fact that we have a good relationship with our early Kickstarter customers. We go to each other's birthday parties. We go on group rides every week, and it's gotten to the point now where it's become an organic, self moving kind of whole life of its own. It's taken on a life of its own. And really, there are these chapters. They're like rider groups, like motorcycle riding clubs, and they self-form and they self-organize, and they're all over the place. We have one in Los Angeles, we have one in San Diego, in the Bay Area, we have New York City, Austin, Texas, Paris. We're in the Netherlands. And they're forming a group in Tokyo, in Japan, and South Korea, and Sydney, I think, in Australia. So these are people who are finding Super 73, expressing themselves through that, and then finding the community that they want to share that experience with, and then going on group rides and doing a bunch of cool stuff, and then sharing it back to us. It's amazing. Like it's absolutely incredible. And what we've seen, the growth of that, it hasn't really changed. And celebrity or not, like they're all, everybody's a person at the end of the day. And I think that, some people have cool job titles, but they want the same thing too. Post Malone has a 24-karat gold custom bike of his own, but that's his expression, of Super 73. So I think it really goes back to building that community aspect.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, and again, I think you've done it very well. I think we'll get to maybe how do you scale a community here in a little bit, because I think that's something that clearly I think you're all thinking about that as you're going global. Getting some comments in here and just seeing some people talk about, of course, what's available for Super 73, for instance, in Europe. Let's talk about global in general. Clearly, if I go to your website today, I don't think I can buy a bike, right? I think there's clearly a back order. This is not something that's new to anyone that's been here. I think we've all read the stories about how COVID's changed our supply chain, and of course also just the demand that we've seen from e-bikes. How do you see the supply chain? When do you think you'll start to get bikes in a place where people could just, kind of want to buy them and buy them? Curious on your thoughts there. And then follow up to that is just where can someone, in what countries can people actually buy a Super 73 today? Or not today, but maybe back order today.
Today or maybe in the near future. So I guess, it depends on the model. So we're not totally out of stock of everything. It just kind of depends on the day and the week. To your point, the supply chain issues, and again, a lot of people I think listening to this are probably intimately aware with some of this. It's almost like playing like whack-a-mole, right? So early on you had some factories that didn't have all their workers back or were closed for extended periods of time. There's some seasonality to this business as well. So there's certain times of the year that more production happens than others, and so everything kind of got mixed up this past year, and it really created kind of this perfect storm for everybody. And then while that was all happening, of course, the demand just went just through the roof for everyone, and we were already on that trajectory. I mean, we've tripled this business 3 years in a row, and which is not easy in and of itself. But this past year, we pretty much did what we were intended to do, and it wasn't really we were already constrained, but as we kind of gone through it, it's there's this ripple effect that's happening. And even right now, I don't know what the latest is. There's something like last week, I think there was like 75 container ships parked out of the side of the Port of Los Angeles out in the ocean. I mean, it's nuts. You can't get containers to go back and forth. It's it's a real big problem. So I will tell you that for us, like we've been producing everything we possibly can. We've been working with our manufacturing partners, and also trying to get ahead of the game in terms of when we place our orders, and we just don't know. We just don't know where that limit is, and I think that this year is going to be a challenge. It really is. I mean, already the way things are shaping up, I think it's going to be a challenge not only for us, I think for a lot of others to keep product in stock. So one of the things that that we're trying to switch or do a little bit different is in the past we would put we had this pre-order campaigns, and we would encourage people to order the bikes, and wait, for them to come and everything. And that's still the case, but we have a much more concerted effort right now to do everything in our power to try to have inventory, even new products, in terms of, releasing those when they're available. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. You want people to get excited and everything else, but, you also don't want to let people down. And that's a really tough thing when all these other factors are out of your control. Now that said, we have, Super 73's are available in a lot of different places. I don't know what the latest is, 18 to 20 countries, but essentially here in North America, we're, obviously here in the US, we ship direct to customers. We also have retailers that you can find on our dealer locator on our site. And then we also ship to Canada. We have, distributors in Japan, Australia, and then we're all throughout Western Europe. So in early 2020, we actually opened our own European HQ, I guess, if you want to call it that, in Amsterdam, and it actually opened 2 days before it got shut down because of the COVID lockdown. So that was a fun thing to get through, and we got started a little bit later than we wanted to, but that operation's fully running, and actually we have inventory right now in again, not of all models, but it varies, but in Europe, and similar to how we have it here, we distribute in kind of the same kind of method. We direct ship in Europe. You can order online, you can get it within a few days, and we also have retail partners. The only kind of caveat to that right now is Great Britain. So we're having some issues in the UK. So if you're joining us from there and you want a bike, getting anything into that country right now is a little bit of a mess. So that might take a little bit of time to get back into. And I think Australia's probably got bikes right now. So they are out there. But like I said, it just kind of depends, on any given day, what kind of color combination and model you want. But we have bikes being, produced and shipped all over the world every single day by the thousands, and we'll see where this year takes us.
It's awesome. And yeah, so for European folks, it sounds like potentially you could grab one. I know here in the US, in California, what I've seen on like Craigslist is literally most of your newer bikes sell at a premium, where people are even reselling what they've been able to buy, which again is just cool. It's an incredible sign of what the type of demand that's out there for the product. So I'll be remiss to not go back to what I think I heard you say, which is you've been tripling the past couple of years, which we've all just been dealing with a virus, so we're all much better at understanding exponents and what that kind of exponential growth looks like and how quickly that becomes very large numbers. That sounds amazing, and we are seeing the electric vehicle market heat up. Oliver mentioned in the opening comments, a company like Nikola goes public and is worth $20 billion, and whether we can debate on whether or not a company should worth $20 billion without a product, but you all are electric vehicle manufacturers shipping real electrical vehicles in tripling, and it's very clear that people love your product. So I guess the question is, when are you going public, and how are you going public?
Jump on that SPAC train.
Yeah, I know, right? It is. It's the cool thing to do these days, right? So, we don't know where this journey is going to go. If and when we'll be public, we'll see. I mean, like you mentioned, right now there's kind of this perfect storm, and EVs are the hot topic, and and now not just EVs on the large scale, but also on the small scale. And so I think that the minds are turning, and and I think there's definitely an opportunity, here in the coming years, and yeah, we just have to execute. And I think that if we continue to execute and continue to do what we're doing, then yeah, the answer to your question is hopefully hopefully in the near future. So we'll
it's awesome. And, I guess just a follow-up question there. So what is the reception like with venture capitalists? In speaking as an entrepreneur and someone who's raised a lot of capital, and from a software perspective, when I talked about some of the things I've seen in the micromobility space, I heard a lot of people really discounting it. Oh, hardware doesn't work. Oh, these companies are going to flame out. Has that changed? Are you seeing more warm reception from venture capitalists, or is it still kind of this is these, just like, Musk used to deal with, no one wants to invest in a car company. I felt like a lot of people were saying no one wants to invest in a micromobility company. So yeah, just curious what you're actually feeling on the ground.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting how you mentioned, you actually kind of hit it right on, nail on the head, especially, I think that investors definitely, and I think that, the Bay Area and Silicon Valley, there's this, you know, it's a software game, or it's a subscription play, or it's, some other, big world changing thing, but, it's maybe not as sexy to do hardware, to do private ownership. And, these are all things that we've heard, all things that we've seen. And, and the truth is, it's about finding the right partner that shares the vision, and that we have, and that vision for the future for our organization. And so yeah, so these are obvious issues, but the crazy thing about it, and you kind of mentioned it as well, is that it's like we're not, and I don't want to get into, to Nicola, or definitely not going to, talk about any companies that I don't know, well enough to comment. But we have a product, we have a customer base, we have revenues, we have a business model which we've already proven works. Growth which has been sustained now year after year after year, and yeah, and sometimes that's still not enough. Whereas if we had some flashy buzzwords, and some really cool presentations, and some
And a truck.
so, yeah, and some plans that that would probably never happen, then we probably would have a very different reception. But I think that goes back to the authenticity of I think that the founders here of the company, and what we represent. I mean, we've always tried to be very authentic, and it doesn't matter who we talk to. We could be talking to you, we could talk to our customers through our marketing channels, or we could be talking to VCs. It really doesn't matter. And so yeah, I'll just tell you, I don't know how many different VCs we've talked to over the years. It's not dozens, probably hundreds at this point. And
Hundreds would be accurate.
99% of them, have told us no. But we've had a couple that have said yes. And that's what you need. And the key is it's the right partners, and it's the right partners that believe in what we're doing. And we're very fortunate. I would tell you, I feel incredibly fortunate to have found the right investor partners, and to invest into not only what you see today, but in what's coming here in the coming years.
Awesome. And yeah, I mean, I hope for people that are listening, again, I think there's a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs that want to get into the space. It's great to hear. It's just amazing to hear how many times you've heard no, given the quality of the product, given the community, given that you can't even keep these things in stock. So, for anyone listening, I think it's just a wonderful sign, to keep on going, and not necessarily taking no as the final answer. Just to steal a line from Peter Thiel, we often tolerate Bay Area VCs because we know they don't have sex. So we'll just leave it at that. All right, let's talk about, so one thing about the bike that's just incredible, I think the way you designed it, the sort of laid back approach, the way the kickstand comes down, it just feels good. I have the Z series behind me though. What I don't see is a lot of software, of course, which, as we think about this coming age of mobility and smart, Boris likes to say, take on software. How will software transform these vehicles? Where will we see more software? Clearly, this is just one of your models. You have other more advanced models. Just would love to hear your story around how intelligence is going to surround this vehicle.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And so yeah, the bike that you have there in the background is our Z1, which is our entry level model. Also the second model that we launched, or second mass produced model that we launched about 3 years ago. So it's what we call one of our legacy products. But everything that we've launched since 2020. About a year ago, we launched the S2, R, and RX. So those three models were the very first time that we brought more of the tech piece into the bikes. And specifically what we've done currently is, again, just the beginning, but you have an app that can control basic functions of the bike, and that's out there. It's not like this is anything groundbreaking yet, but there's so much more to that. And I think that the key to us doing that at the time that we did it was at least to have the hardware on board the bikes, to have all the components be able to talk to each other, and to have a way to to pass information, off the platform. And so as we look forward, that's something I will tell you that, and this is probably see this not only across our entire lineup, but probably, I would say it'd become a de facto standard that you would have to have, some kind of, connectivity, or at least smart functionality with really any of these platforms. And so, as we look to the future, what does that mean for Super 73 in particular? Well, there's things like, for example, being able to track your bike remotely, in case it gets stolen. That's a pretty basic function. But there's so much more than that, and I'll touch on one piece that we have already in place today that is quite different, I think, than what a lot of other manufacturers are doing, and that is that here in the U.S. we have three e-bike classes, right? So three classifications of e-bikes, and that defines where you can ride it, how fast you can ride it, how much power, and what that assist mode looks like. Is it throttle based, or is it pedal assist? And it's not the simplest thing out there, and everything, but that's what we have in almost 30 states now here in the U.S. And so when we created these vehicles, the ones that we launched a year ago, what we did is we said, hey, why can't we have a vehicle that can live in all three of these different modes? I mean, there's no reason it can't. So instead of building it just for this use case, like let's make it more broad. And so what we came up with is we call ride modes, and not too dissimilar than maybe what you see on automotive platforms, but essentially you can you can change the function of the bike, you can make it work differently, and essentially you get the app and you can say, hey, I want to as an example, I want to go to the Grand Canyon or any other national park here in the U.S. That's federal property, and they only allow, this is just recent actually, Class 1 e-bikes, right? So the e-bike is only work with pedal assist, and it can only be 20 miles an hour. Well, on the app, you can put the bike into Class 1 mode. The throttle's disabled, top speed's 20 miles an hour, the power comes down to the appropriate limit, and so we're manipulating all the hardware to match that. And so these are the kinds of things with software that we can do, is we can make a single platform, single vehicle that we can sell globally. It can dynamically change its function based on its location, based on the the laws, and I think that that's just going to evolve even further, into the future. And again, you're already seeing this, I think, on I know here locally in LA. If you're on a shared scooter platform, you get over to the boardwalk, and it gets down to, I don't know what it is, 5 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour, essentially walking speed, right? And so already, the vehicles are smart enough to know, their location, know the rules of where it is, and to dynamically adjust. And so, I think that that's coming in, if it's there in the scooter world, I imagine it's only a matter of time before it's coming in the e-bike world, definitely in kind of these urban areas where, it may be appropriate, out on the open road to have a 30-mile-an-hour machine, but, maybe not in a busy urban core with, a lot of pedestrians and everything else. So yeah, there's a whole lot. And again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's so much more that we can do, but I will tell you that, any kind of future product that you see from us, is going to have that piece in it. I mean, I could tell you it's a commitment that we've made, and I think it's also going to allow us to really delight our customers, in the future. And and again, you're seeing this already in the automotive world. Tesla has done a tremendous job of doing this, with their cars, and and again, I think it's going to come into the e-bike world as well.
Yep, agree. And some of that class distinction is really great. And of course, I think again that also cascades into other non-U.S. countries where everyone has very different classifications. We saw that quite a bit traveling overseas. In terms of inbound interest, I'm just very curious. Clearly, you need to hire a lot of people. You have you have a lot of things to do and a big vision to accomplish. Like, are you getting inbound interest from people that work at Tesla and Apple and basically the best hardware and software companies in the world, or are you going in there and poaching these people? What's the talent? How will you continue to get your talent?
That's a great question. I mean, we're very fortunate, here in Southern California. We have tremendous amount of engineering resources here nearby. I think actually Rivian is like next door almost.
Yep.
But again, in this whole industry, everybody's hiring, right? Everybody's adding people. So it is. There's a little bit of a jockey for talent. But on the same note, we've created an atmosphere, a company, a place that is really enjoyable to work at. I mean, for those of you that are not familiar, we have a YouTube channel. We create a lot of content. This studio you see here is one of the reasons, why. I mean, we really are committed to doing that, and we give an inside peek. I mean, it's not, going back to authenticity. There's not a whole lot of secrets. Obviously, can't tell you everything that's gestating here for future development, but we've created this incredible place, and we've shown the outside world what that is. And so, yeah, to answer your question, we have people coming to us from some of the biggest companies in the world, and some of the what I thought would coolest places to work, but apparently maybe not.
Yeah, there's also a minimum social media follower requirement.
Yeah, I know. We have, I don't know how many was the last count, how many quote unquote influencers
that we just have on the team.
Yeah, which is
mind blowing.
Yeah, which is wild. But yeah, so again, just getting back to it, look, it's like anything. We added, I don't know, I think it was 40 people last year, to the payrolls, in the midst of a pandemic, and with having to clear out the office, and these are all real big challenges. How do we grow a company when we got to have probably 2/3 of anybody remote at any given time right now, and these are real big challenges. But again, we're very fortunate. We built something that that seems to be attracting the right types of people. And and again, if you are interested, you're listening to this, we are hiring, and we'll probably be continuing to hire for the foreseeable future. And so we have those positions up and available.
Yeah, careers at super73.com, or it's on our website too for any open positions.
Yep. Awesome. LeGrand and Aaron, we're out of time. Clearly, I think this community could talk to you for quite some time. So one, just first appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a lot of bikes to ship and a lot of vehicles to move. So on behalf of the entire community, thank you. And we can't wait to see what you do next.
Cool. Hey, thanks again for having us.
Thanks so much, guys.
Appreciate it.